you on the map. This is Ron Costa broadcasting live from the Mappable USA studios in Las Vegas, Nevada. And today, folks, we're going to talk about blockchain. We're going to demystify a couple of things. And if you're interested in learning about blockchain, or if you're in this space to begin with, you're going to really like the content on today's podcast, I'm sure. So before we do that, let's introduce Vicky Hutchmala from the World Token Market. Vicky, how are you doing today?
Doing great, Ron. Excellent day in Vegas. The weather's cooling down. It's just the perfect time to live here. It's why we live here and why we suffer through 120 degrees in the summer, because this is perfect. And we met a very interesting person at the Any Size Deals conference that we went to a couple weeks ago, and now we're going to do a podcast with them. I'm excited. Let's get started.
Yeah, let's get him on here. So, folks, we've got Alejandro Laplana. He's the CEO of Shokworks. Alejandro, how are you doing today?
Hey guys, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Great. Yeah, I'm glad you're on the show today. Alejandro, we did a great panel over at Any Size Deals, like Vicky said, and it was so interesting that we had to get you on the podcast because blockchain is such a confusing topic for a lot of people, and you were able to explain it so well and so concisely. So we're going to do it again on the podcast. How about that?
Amazing. I'm excited. Thank you for having me again.
So before we get started with this, let's talk about you a little bit. Can you give us a little bit of background on yourself and maybe the company Shokworks as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been an entrepreneur since I was about my early 20s. Prior to that, I was a trader and investment banker. I started on early building out work experience. Found that financial services were interesting, but they could actually become a lot more interesting when you coupled them with technology. So pivoted from trading and investment banking to technology. Had a few good exits in my early 20s. Spun up an IP fund. That IP fund raised a lot of money. We had a very ambitious plan. And, unfortunately, and entirely my fault, I partnered with the wrong people on delivery, so on product. I was very good at selling. I was very good at raising money. But, I had no idea how to operate. So anyhow, I had a couple of European partners, ended up firing them, basically building from scratch, keeping the portfolio companies. And, I decided to turn what was formerly a weakness, hopefully, into a strength. And with that, built out a team that comprised initially of about 7 to 10 engineers and designers. Quickly, people took notice that we inverted the services model and added a company builder model. And before you know it, we were with Fox Sports, Real Madrid, big sporting properties. Our team scaled to hundreds of people. And then we decided to reinvest those profits into a company builder model where without limited partners, so without outside investors, we co-invest in kind, so services, and take the delta, the profits on equity in those companies. And to date, 5 years later, we have over 300 full-time employees and about 45 portfolio companies to date. And we're making them synergistic with each other. So just today, we released an announcement where we have a prop tech company, portfolio company, tied with a crypto to fiat payments company that is also in our portfolio. So that's the idea. Wow. And the vision that we've been able to hopefully realize at this stage.
Very impressive. When I met you, Alejandro, at the conference, and then I looked at your website and I thought, oh my God, how could such a young guy do so much? Because it was so impressive that I was amazed. But give us a little bit of how you go about, what do you do in working with startups? How exactly do you do that? How do you find your clients and what do you do for them?
Okay, so fortunately, we're in a position where our customer acquisition cost is virtually zero. We've been able to really build out a strong brand and reputation whereby our best and top evangelists are our clients and partners. Another thing is that a lot of these, people misuse the word partnership. Paying someone for a service is not a partnership. There needs to be a little more to it. There needs to be mutual skin in the game. And what we consider our partners, so we do have traditional services models where we, bill a lot more than we traditionally would when it comes to a partnership model. And those partnership models, we both co-invest into the companies, in-kind cash and build out really cool concepts. So a lot of these startups come to us. We got to pick whom we work with. And, it's risky but rewarding in many ways. In addition to that, there are some that we've acquired. There are others where we've had great exits together. And many that we just hope to, keep working on for the next 10 years. A lot of our partnerships actually date back to almost 5 years ago.
Wow. That's an interesting concept that, as you say, people think of partnerships, especially in business, where one partner does a lot of the work, the other partner puts together the money, and, it's kind of a cold black and white relationship. But when everybody is invested into what you're doing, I can see where that would make a lot more passion and a lot more desire to be successful because everybody is working on it with whatever it is they're bringing to the table. That makes it special.
No, agreed. That's, we all do what we do. We subsidize a lot of our services. We bring it in. We're not really looking to, it's not again a vendor-client relationship. I mean, we do offer that, but that's not, I think, in any, I don't think it's attractive enough to mention here, right? So I think what's really unique is more this other model.
And what is that?
Oh, the partnership model. So how we're able to incubate, not incubate, but kind of really bring help take these companies to the next level. How we're able to really build companies in many ways.
Well, and everybody has a certain skill set, and when you bring all of the skills to the table and you utilize all of them that everybody brings, then you have a complete model that you can work with, and everybody is part of it. That's I like that. That's great.
For sure, No, we enjoy it as well.
Yeah, but Alejandro, you focus on blockchain related projects, right? You're basically providing I guess you might call it a software as a service type of product. Is that right?
Sorry, Ed, do you mind? I'm not understanding the question.
Oh, okay, you're basically building solutions on the blockchain, right? So I guess my question would be, if somebody wanted to do a blockchain project, for example, they would have to somehow get access to or build their own blockchain. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, they wouldn't have to build necessarily their own blockchain, but there are many chains that are available that we can build on, right? If they want a smart contract, it really depends on the project. And back to your original question. We're not really a SaaS product. We're more than anything, we're a services company also turned into a company builder. So it's services to help build out, build custom builds, maybe integrate a lot of our portfolio companies and their technology into that, and kind of co-invest with you in kind and create a project together that we can benefit from long term.
Right. I guess the confusion for me becomes like when you're talking about the internet, you're really connecting to one big network of computers. The internet is the internet. But when you're talking about blockchain, you have one blockchain, you have the Ethereum, you have all these different types of blockchains. Which one do you pick to build a project on, or is it based on the requirements of the project, or is one blockchain better than the other?
Yeah, I think it's like it's. Eventually, there are a lot of interoperability, projects. You have some really, really cool ones, Polkadot. So at the end, I'm sure all the chains will be able to operate with each other, or at least all the prominent ones. And, in our experience, we've worked with Ethereum, we've worked with Stellar. Stellar we particularly like when it comes to stable coins and payments. We've worked with Cardano. We've worked with Bitcoin. We've worked with a lot of the big chains, and I think eventually it's all really the distributed ledger technology that unifies the whole thing, that makes it holistic. And with more interoperability happening, it'll be even further consolidated, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find it really frustrating because most people, everybody knows the word blockchain, everybody knows the word Bitcoin, but blockchain and Bitcoin are two different things, and so many people believe they know how to use the blockchain platform and that everything is Bitcoin oriented, and it's frustrating for me that people talk without knowing what they're talking about, and especially people who describe themselves as experts, but really they don't have a clue what blockchain technology is and what you can really do with it is exponential.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the problem is that, Bitcoin in many ways was the pioneer. That's where you created the actual blockchain, the distributed ledger technology. But, from there, you had a series of other use cases that emerged that, like you say, are far more broad and interesting in scope, right? So I'm
exactly.
For instance, I don't care too much for the debates or maximalism over whether Bitcoin, will take over the U.S. dollar or what will happen there.
Yeah.
That's not something I
That's
devote much time or attention to. Yeah. Instead, I'm more about how do you disintermediate traditional industries like real estate, like insurance, title companies, notaries. Like how do you really democratize services and eliminate that trust factor from the equation? Actually, eliminate to a large extent counterparty risk and create a more transparent, efficient, and cost-effective system. That's what I really like about the blockchain. That's why I think smart contracts are an area of focus that I really enjoy.
Oh, yeah, because there's so much, every transaction, regardless of what your industry is, every transaction involves so many fingers in the pie that a lot of funds are expended, not unnecessarily, but basically unnecessarily. But if you can streamline that using a blockchain platform and smart contracts, then you have a lot more capital to do a lot more other things with. I don't know if that was good English or not, but it's
no. I agree. It makes sense. Absolutely.
And Alejandro, you talked about real estate over there. I mean, the buzzword in real estate with blockchain technology is all about tokenization, and I'm sure we did a whole conference on that as well. What are you seeing in the tokenization world with respect to blockchain and its technology?
So I think it's very interesting. I find it to be promising. Full disclosure, I'm personally involved in a lot of real estate tokenization projects. So clearly there's at least some form of an agenda to see it really hit its stride. But what the ultimate or aggregate value that I think it brings to the industry is phenomenal in my opinion. I think it brings liquidity to investors and developers, and syndicators and all the traditional actors. And conversely, it also democratizes access to non-traditional actors. So, retail investors, for instance, getting access to really posh properties, historical properties in London, or family office style investments in commercial real estate. So that's where I think it becomes a win-win if done correctly for most of the stakeholders, except the middlemen.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah, the middlemen are going to be in trouble. But you touched on an interesting point about the liquidity factor of this, because that really makes it very attractive for investors, especially when you're talking about some of these syndication projects. Because in traditional real estate, you were stuck into the deal until the sponsor or whatever decided to sell. But now with this whole tokenization aspect, you could pretty much, theoretically, I guess, sell your tokens on a secondary market. But I think one of the problems is, are there secondary markets out there that allow you to do that today, or are they still being developed?
No, there. So okay, so I'm gonna contradict myself, and so bear with me. There are secondaries markets for STOs for tokens in general, that are whatever the underlying asset may be. That you have a lot of good ones, but there is no real, or at least that I know of, real estate focused exchange for tokens, right? So I think that there's a massive need for consolidation and innovation in that space, and we may or may not be working on something like that.
Right. Well, I mean, with the assets that you have in your company, there's your next project right there. You should be doing that too. But
not confirming, not denying.
Yeah.
Okay, we get it.
Do you think that's one of the reasons why tokenization hasn't completely went on fire? Because I mean, again, theoretically, this should be a boom. Every developer, every guy in real estate who wants to raise money for a project, in my opinion, should be looking at this and saying, yeah, let's go today, let's do it. But for some reason, there's pushback.
No, I agree. But I think there's a series of factors at play. One is that, people forget that this is a fairly nascent technology. So, the ability to tokenize real estate, a lot of what's been happening is maybe, the blockchain started 11, 12 years ago. I forget, but, the ability to really tokenize and do it at scale, this is fairly recent. And as a result of it, there's a lot of trial and error. And moreover, real estate is kind of, in my opinion, stuck in the 19th century. So you need to really create adoption, right? Create awareness and adoption. And how do you convince, I'm pardon my language here, but, a dinosaur that's just a traditional real estate developer to embrace tokenization without any guarantees of success?
Yeah.
And that you hit on an important factor. It's real estate is basically a traditional industry where we've done it this way for, back to the pyramid times, and it works. And so why change it? And we'll do it again. But until you get that company or that person or that concept that it makes the information so readily and easily understood, like you said, the dinosaurs are going to be the dinosaurs, and everybody will be afraid to try something new, even though tokenizing a real estate project is just so innovative, because you bring the person who maybe is going to be the end user of a product in a commercial area able to invest in the store that they go to, and then tell word of mouth, and pretty soon everybody is investing in something that, as Ron said, now you can trade it on the secondary market and you've got a whole new world. But
yeah, absolutely.
Education is the key to changing it.
Yeah, and also, at the end, no one wants to be first to the party, but once the party's there, everyone wants to be in attendance. So, like you said,
and everybody wants to claim it.
Yeah. The usual suspects aren't there. They'll be reluctant until they're not. So I think it's up to, people like us to really, raise awareness and continue to forge ahead in this space. Be open to the traditional actors and welcome them, educate them, and hopefully, there could be a meaningful symbiosis here.
Exactly. Somebody's got to take the risk. Somebody's got to take the risk, create the wheel, and then show everybody, too bad you weren't there to help me do it.
Right. I agree.
Right. Okay, well, getting back to the more basic stuff of this whole blockchain technology, Alejandro, you could build a solution on a blockchain. Let's say we build a solution on blockchain A. There's another solution on blockchain B, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Somehow, the end user has to access these blockchains, right? And I believe they do it with a wallet. Is that right? An e-wallet or something? What do they call those things?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just a wallet. It could be an Ethereum wallet. It could be, there are many wallets that you can utilize. Actually, one thing that we do in one of our companies for payments is we eliminate the need for that, and just without an Ethereum wallet, you can pay in crypto, transfer to fiat. Not promoting or pitching, but just that's a point of friction that I think can be eliminated to help raise adoption moving forward.
Right. And I think another issue with the e-wallet is you're getting a private key as access, kind of like a passcode. And
sure.
I mean, if you lose that private key, you're in a little bit of trouble, right? Or is that the problem that's being solved these days?
Yeah, maybe a lot of trouble. I mean, a lot of I don't know how many hundreds of millions in Bitcoin has been lost from people misplacing their keys or God knows what, losing them or and the thing about it is that it's not like the usual fiat transactions where the bank can reimburse you or there's insurance. Here, once it's gone, it's gone. I mean, the transactions are immutable for better or for worse.
Yeah, exactly. So if you create an e-wallet on a Ethereum blockchain, could that e-wallet also be used to access other blockchains that aren't Ethereum, or do they all have to be on the same blockchain?
Yeah, no. You can. There's interoperability between chains if you're from an engineering standpoint, and now from an asset management standpoint, you have pretty good exchanges if you want to hold a lot of the the tokens that these chains have. If you want to hold Ether, or if you want to hold Bitcoin or whatever it may be. I mean, they've done a pretty good job there.
Yeah, because I guess, tying that back into tokenization, if I see a tokenization project that I want to invest in, I want to buy tokens in Project A again, I use my e-wallet to do that, and I see another real estate tokenization project from another developer, I like that too, I can use the same e-wallet, and I don't have to have like 3 different accounts so that I have to remember 3 different passwords and 3 different private keys and all this other stuff. And I think one of the things that people are afraid of in blockchain too is, I got to create 20 different accounts. That's not the case, right?
Yeah, no, it's not. You can use that same one and traverse different exchanges. The issue is when you're trying to find, the more nascent, the liquid types of, projects on blockchain projects. But it's like everything. It's a question of access, and it's like getting into startups in Silicon Valley, right? But but overall, if you want to get into exposure to the more mainstream investments, you don't need a myriad of wallets or anything like that.
Right. Well, what I like about what you guys are doing at Shokworks is like you guys are creating custom apps for all different types of applications, right? And you're not just doing real estate. You're doing what? VR and AR, all kinds of projects like that, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're doing, we're basically utilizing AI, education technology, and VR to totally transform the way safety consulting happens and skills-based training takes place. On the blockchain alone, we work on everything from bullion-backed stable coins all the way to remittances to crypto to fiat payments and real estate tokenization. So really a lot of stuff. Bitcoin mining as a service. The list goes on. Yeah,
no, that's pretty interesting. It's no question about it.
Keep busy.
So what does your client do, Alejandro, when they come to meet you the first time? They say, hey, I have an idea. I want to build an AR platform. Or is it a blank sheet of paper? You kind of build it together? Or is that where you partner with them? Or
No. We used to be that way. We used to be that way once we kind of hit our stride and, thought we had the ability to really take literally an idea to market. And then I realized I'm like, okay, I can't really be CEO of 40 plus companies. So now it's a lot better and a lot more productive when we're approached by companies that are already existing, have a management board, have a clear idea. What we do is define it and then build it together to optimize the existing business or flat out disrupt the industry. That's really our sweet spot. If it's like a solopreneur with an idea, if it's a good enough idea, we'll incubate it, but that's not what we traditionally seek. It's just it's too heavy of a lift, and there are plenty of exciting things we're working on. That's not to say it's out of the question, but we try to avoid it.
Interesting. Okay,
well,
cool.
You don't have the time.
Yeah, exactly. So we're better with, like on the startup scale, working with existing businesses that are cash flowing or profitable, and or, kind of well-funded Series A or post-Series A type of companies that already have clear ideas about what they want. And it's all about really arriving at refining it entirely, redoing or optimizing product, and really just giving it that push it needs to go to market and taking the journey together. But the solopreneur, because every solopreneur thinks that their idea is infallible and it's the next billion-dollar company, and rightfully so. But the failure rates, you'd have to be crazy to start a business these days. But unfortunately, the risk profile for us is that same one that they're assuming. Maybe we can de-risk it a tad, but we prefer to kind of tip the scales in everyone's favor.
Exactly. And everybody who has an idea, as you say, it's the best idea that anybody ever thought of, and I'm the smartest one and I know all about it, and maybe you can help me, but maybe I'm not going to listen to you because I know better. You don't want those people either.
Yeah, for sure. No, you have to be open-minded, but at the same time, respectful of your own time, right? So It's a situation where, it's a balancing act, and no one really gets it right, I think. But it's a situation where I think ideas are overrated. I think execution is paramount, and that's kind of what we try to offer, is kind of execution as a service.
Right. Do you get involved in analytics or data gathering or information sharing?
Yeah, for sure. So we do have a lot of data analytics applications in our projects. We have we need it just for every project. We need to be able to collect, analyze, and utilize user data in order to really refine the product and the offering, and make data-driven decisions that aren't arbitrary or subjective, or at least minimize that as much as possible. So, and we've also included AI as much as we can. We're still by no means where we want to be, but yeah, that's something that's always in the works.
Well, yeah, because the more information that any entrepreneur, business owner, startup, whatever you want to call them, the more information you have, the better decisions you can make, for sure.
Right. Well, listen, before we close out this podcast, I have a couple more questions for you. One is, the blockchain in general right now is really not regulated in any way for the most part. I mean, as far as, let's say, SEC is concerned and things like that. Where do you see this going in terms of governance and regulation of blockchain?
Honestly, I don't know. I don't want to get overly political and kind of, make enemies on this podcast, but it's I just don't. I think you need I'm kind of more of a laissez-faire type of person in terms of my economic outlook in general, but I do also think that in order to make people feel comfortable, you need to have a clear regulatory framework, and I feel like that's been dodged around. In a country where the SEC has a 7-year statute of limitation. So that's why I think it's making the U.S. investor a very unattractive prospect, in the sense that, with these laws and with no clear regulatory framework, you have companies that are either flat out avoiding U.S. investors or having, very specific requirements for they to get in their tokenization projects. So, I think there are countries and financial regulatory bodies that are far more,
open-minded.
In my clue, far more open-minded and progressive. And ironically, the two largest economies, the U.S. and China, I think, are doing I'd say a pretty mediocre job at doing this, right? At creating really at helping to promote the future of financial services. Because decentralized finance is here to stay. The capital markets are changing, and the blockchain will become ubiquitous. Fintech is here, so it's either embrace it or fall behind, in my opinion. But yeah, again, I don't want to make any enemies.
No, I got you. I agree with everything that you said. So if we make enemies, we make enemies together. So there you go.
There you go.
But the last topic I wanted to go over on this podcast was something called the Internet of Things, IoT. can you talk about that a little bit and what it is and how it differs from the regular internet, or if there is a difference, or how it differs from blockchain even?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, Internet of Things is it's insanely ambitious, and it's also pretty broad topic to digest. So, let's kind of reduce and distill it to my involvement. And we work with AI and the Internet of Things in everything from smart grids for power. Like in our prop tech company, we're looking at different sensors to optimize power consumption, and eventually we'd like to apply that to Bitcoin mining and optimizing that and power. So yeah, I think it's the future of industry. You're going to have connected devices everywhere. It's just a lot of data that gets aggregated, and hopefully we can create a more efficient, insightful world as a result of that. There's also a lot of smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, because what my understanding of it is that everything in your house, for example, can be hooked up to the internet and sensors, so that when I'm out bowling some night, my refrigerator will send me a text message saying that you need to pick up milk, something like crazy stuff like that. And if that's the case, boy, I'll tell you, we're going to be that's very high end stuff. So we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it definitely sounds convenient. Hopefully, we can also apply it beyond enhanced convenience and create real impact in energy consumption and other areas where we don't need where we kind of avert this trade-off between prevailing lifestyle and environmental impact and carbon footprint or other areas, right? So I think that's the balance we need to strike, not so much sacrificing one for the other. And that's something that potentially smart sensors and Internet of Things and AI can help achieve.
Yeah, that's really, really amazing stuff. And you guys are doing that right now, right? You're developing some solutions in that field?
Yeah. I mean, we're a very, 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 very small part of what's needed in order to get there. But we try to contribute our grain of salt and hopefully propel that forward. Yeah.
Well, you've been successful in so many other portions of your company and everything that you guys have been doing. It's really impressive what you've done so far, and everything you talked about in the podcast today, and educating our audience on all these different aspects of it. I'm kind of really mostly interested in the real estate aspect of it, because I see so much opportunity there for it, and I just feel like pulling my hair out sometimes when people just don't get it. So I don't know if you feel the same way with some of your clients, but my God, let's get going with this.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think I think we just need to, eventually it'll. I think once the irony of it all is that once it's arrived, no one will even know. So, or few people will know. Once it's ubiquitous, it's just there, right? No one knows what TCP, IP, HTTP really was in the internet age. What they know is Gmail, Facebook, right? So I think the blockchain has a lot of consolidating to do. I think a lot of the projects have been fraudulent, and we need better projects, better entrepreneurs to really push us forward. So I think we'll see very interesting things in this next wave of projects. And I definitely think the blockchain's here to stay. Whether it's 5 or 10 years away, I have no idea, but I definitely know it's here to stay.
Yep, I agree. So if anybody wants a solution in blockchain and needs to talk to you, Alejandro, get in touch with you, how would they do that? What's the best way?
Yeah, absolutely. So, if anyone wants to, needs help developing on the blockchain, or in general, incubating an idea that's already focused, or just want to chat or learn more, have an interesting conversation, you can reach me on, I don't know if there will be links to the social media, but, my LinkedIn is Shokworks. So SHOKWORKS Inc. And you can also find me at my initial A, Laplana, Laplana, at shokworks.io.
Okay, yeah, we're going to put this in the show notes so everybody can see this or go right to it. So that would be great. And Vicky, I think we should put Alejandro on our or a quick call list on our phones. We're going to have to be talking to him a number of times.
Yeah, I think we might have an idea or two that we might need, Alejandro. But you know what? I'll say this last thing, Ron. It appears that blockchain, Internet of Things, tokens, all of this, they're here to stay, and they're world changing, just like the Internet was 40, 50 years ago, whenever that was. And it's just as scary. But I think that everything that Alejandro and Shokworks is doing, it just proves that the potential of new technology it's exponential, and it's only limited by the creativity of the people who are doing it. And that is kudos to Alejandro and what he's doing in bringing it into the future and helping the dinosaurs realize how the world is changing. And congratulations, Alejandro. What an excellent thing you're doing.
Thank you so much. And hopefully we can continue to do it. You guys are doing much of the same by kind of evangelizing and in many ways educating. So very, very also, the feeling is mutual.
Great. Yeah, well, thank you again, Alejandro, for being a guest on the show. Vicky, thanks for co-hosting this show with me today. That was great, really informative. I really enjoyed it. And folks, you're listening to the Mappable USA podcast at mappableusa.com. If you go to that website, scroll down a little bit, you'll see all our syndication sources. Just pick the one you like best, subscribe, and you'll never miss another one of our episodes. If you want to be a guest on the show like Alejandro was today, there's a guest tab. Fill that out. We'll see what you can do about getting you on the show. And if you like what you heard, send us an email, info@mappableusa.com, or just comment on whatever page you're listening to this on right now. So thanks for listening. Thanks for your support. We'll see you next time on another Mappable USA podcast. Have a great week, everyone.